Hello everyone, welcome to my post-development test video. Today we're going to be going over the final product of my A-level computer coursework project. So, getting right into the thick of it, we're going to go to test F1, which is the functional menu test. To test this, we're going to see that all buttons work and are clearly labeled and understandable. So, here in the main menu, we have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons. Each has an explanation on top of it. This one has the locker, controls, settings, and exit. They're very clearly labeled. They also have diagrams here. As you can see, this is like a spaceship sort of thing, locker, which is understandable as in like customizable. It might be confusing for some users, hence why it says locker on top. Here is the controls. It has a question mark, which is obviously you have a question, you don't know. You go to the controls, so that also makes sense. And then here we have the settings, which is a settings. This is a universal symbol, and it also says understandable. And exit, it's a cross. Cross. If you don't like it, you cross it out. Exit makes sense, and that's the play. So we're going to go into the locker, and we're going to see that that there is a done button here. This button makes sense. It's a tick. It means once you've selected, for example, this skin, you tick, you click on it, and you're gone. Same with the controls. You tick, you click on it, you're gone. Settings, you tick, you click on it, you're gone. Now, looking at the settings, we have these 3 different toggles, which add for the functionality. They are both clearly labeled and understandable. For example, here we have the sound icon. This icon is very visibly a sound. It's a speaker, the sound coming out of it, and it also says sound on top of it. Here we have the music, which is a music note, and the word music coming out of it. And finally, epilepsy. It was very difficult to find a symbol that represented epilepsy. I don't think one exists for what I was looking for, especially not in the texture pack I was using for, so I decided to use this and label epilepsy. Also, when we look at we can also see that when they're not active, these things all go red. You can see the cross over them. You know they're not active. Another feature of the functional menu is that is clearly labeled what thing you're on. For example, here it says main menu. When you go into controls, it says controls. When you go to lock, it says locker. When you go to the settings, it says settings. And yeah, so it's very, very, very clearly labeled and understanding, and you're not lost throughout the game. This test also ensures that the layout of the menu is logical, and I do think it is. All of the buttons remain in the same place, and for example, the done button also remains in the same place, no matter what menu you're heading in. So this test it gets 5 big booms from me, and it's passed. Right, next we're looking at test F2. So this is the buttons, toggles, and sliders test. This test exists to ensure that the different features which boost functionality work properly. So first I'm going to test that the buttons work. So I click the locker button, it works. I click the control button, it works. I click the done button, it also works. Settings button also works. And the play button does work, and the exit button works, as you can see here from me exiting it. There we go. Cool. Perfect. Next is the toggles. You can see that when I click the toggles, it works. When I click the sound, it also works, and the epilepsy also works. You can see on the bottom left of the screen, it's true or false, depending on what I click. You can see this works. However, the test also ensures that the slider reacts as expected. As you can see, there are no sliders in my project. This means that the sliders do not work as expected. So this test is only a partial pass. It's not a full pass. It's not a full fail. It's only been partially passed. And yeah. But yeah. Cool. Next we have test F3. This is the skin selection test. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the different skins in the locker state. And the skin that I've selected should be output on the player's shape when the game is run. So I'm going to click on the angry skin first. And you can see that the angry skin has appeared here. I'm going to leave very quickly. And then I'm going to click on another skin. I'm going to click on the freaky skin. I click on the freaky skin, and it in fact does output here for the user to see. Next, I'm going to click the funny skin. The funny skin also outputs out here for the user to see. And I'm going to click on the sick skin, and this sick skin does also in fact output for the user to play with. Cool. So this test is a full pass. Yeah, cool. Next we have test F4. So this is the progression rewards test, and essentially when the user wins a game, a new skin is unlocked. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the game and win it. So I have now won the game, and you see the game 1 screen is updated. The game 1 screen is output. However, there is no notification of any skins being won or anything. If I go back to the locker state, that all the skins that were previously unlocked were still here. Why is this? Because I have not included this feature. This test was failed because I was unable to gain progression rewards. I did not include this feature because I'm still very new to Python. My coding skills aren't immense, and although I've gotten very, very much better over the course of this project, I haven't been able to include this feature. Therefore, this test is a big fail. Cool. Next we have F5, which is the types of obstacles test. So the test data for this is that the user collides with different objects. This test exists to ensure that the user is able to interact with multiple obstacles. This essentially, I needed to check if there are different types of obstacles in my game. So first and foremost, I'm standing on a wall. On a horizontal wall, as you can see, my movement is prevented. Next, I'm going to go on a sticky floor. As you can see, my speed is prevented. Next, I'm going to collide with a vertical wall. So this on the right, my movement is prevented to the right. Okay, and I'm going to collide here. My movement is also prevented. And then I'm going to collide with the anti-gravity potion. As you can see, the anti-gravity effects have taken over. Now I'm going to, I collided with the hitbox there of this shape, and it's chased me all the way down. Perfect. And I've also collided, I'm going to collide with the hitbox of this one again. And it's going to chase me all the way back here. Oh, I've lost it there. I'm gonna re-collide with it. I'm just gonna let it collide with me, and that is another object. So this test is passed. There are multiple types of obstacles that the player needs to overcome to get to the end. Moving on to F6 is a difficulty test. So this game is harder or easier to win depending on the difficulty that the user has selected. One thing you may notice when you press the game, play game, there is no option to select difficulty. This is because the game only has one difficulty. I've not included difficulty into my game. If I were to include difficulty, it would have been I would have either modified the speed of the enemy AI, the hitbox of the enemy AI, and modify some of the map layout as well to make it more tricky to jump. Although this is quite tricky already, it requires some practice to do. I would have added more enemies to going around, and maybe added a time limit. There are many things I could do to have modified difficulty. However, I did not include them, so it currently just has one difficulty for the player right now. Therefore, this test has failed. Next is that there are 2 power-ups present. When I'm running around, you can see that there is one power-up on the bottom right of my screen. So this double upwards shape is the anti-gravity power-up. When I collide with it, the attributes of my shape will be modified so gravity is decreased for the player and the jump height is increased. However, if you look around the map, you'll notice that there are no other potions. This is because I've only created one type of potion, which is the anti-gravity potion. Therefore, this test is only a partial pass because I've not included 2 power-ups. However, I have included 1. Next is the smart enemy movement test. This test, smart enemy movement test. This test exists to ensure that the enemy shapes are coded properly, to ensure that they can react to the choices players make. So for this, the player needs to exist. And you'll see that if I make the conscious choice of jumping behind it, nothing will happen. If I make the conscious choice of jumping in front of it, it will start chasing me. If I also decide to run away and block my line of sight with it, it will start running back. This shows that the enemy AI is reacting to my choices. Let me do that again for you at the back to see. And as you can see, it has reacted to my choices. Therefore, this enemy is smart, and it has the enemy is smart and therefore has passed this test. It reacts intelligently to the actions that the player takes. Next is F9, which is the basic physics test. So this test ensures that the user is able to interact with the map and its corresponding layout in an appropriate way. So this includes So the test data for this is that the player jumps, moves around, and collides with objects. As you can see, from the previous test of deciding different objects, we've half already tested the fact that the player can collide with objects realistically. Well, we know that the player collides with different objects differently. Now we're testing if the player collides with different objects realistically. As you can see, realistically you can't phase through a wall. So that works. Another thing I do want to point out is that previously, before I'd fixed my jumping issues, so early into iteration 2, I could have phased through the floors here. However, after I fixed the jumping issues, I'm no longer able to do this. So that's realistic. You can't jump through a floor. Then I'm also going to check the jumping. So jumping is also realistic. You don't get teleported up. You go up and down. And when you jump down, you go up for a bit and you fall all the way down. You accelerate down, which is normal like real life. You jump off a high building, you're gonna reach the ground at a higher speed than if you jump from 2 meters down, 2 meters up. So yeah, this works. The basic physics test is a pass. Yeah, collisions work and everything. Next is the SFX and music test. So to test this, I need to set the SFX and music toggle to on. So I'm going to go back to the menu and set these to on. So now you can see that there are SFX for my actions. There are SFX currently in my game. As you can hear, the sticky floor. There is SFX when I pick up the potion. And there is also background music you can hear. If I die, which I will do now, there is background music in this, and there is background music in the main menu. When I click on buttons, that also gives me SFX. Therefore, this test has passed. Next is the scrolling background test. Last but not least is a scrolling background test. So this test exists to ensure that the map is able to react to the user's movement. So this means that if I were to move right or left, the map would follow me. The advantage of this is it will lead to much larger levels being able to be created. Unfortunately, I did not include this feature into the game, so you can see the map is static with wherever I move. This means that unfortunately this test has been failed, and yeah, so this test has been failed because it has not been implemented. Cool. So there are all my post-development tests. The post-development tests were decided based on the essential features that I were to create. I've passed the majority, partially passed a few, and failed only some. So therefore, this has been quite a successful project in terms of following my essential features. Jason. Yeah, in terms of following my essential features. Yeah, so So that's my post testing. This is how my game now looks at the very end of it. And yeah. So I'll run it through one more time of how a normal user would interact with my game after opening it for the first time. So here I have a stakeholder that's going to play my game for the first time. So she's currently investigating the different icons in my screen and scrutinizing the controls information. So now she's decided to start playing my game, and yeah, she's discovering the controls that were clearly labeled in the controls info, and she's playing around in my game. So she's discovering the different mechanics, which I've purposefully not included in the controls info to add another layer of surprise for the player. And she's very easily finding the route that needs to be taken. The route is very technical, so she's struggling with the beginning jumps, but I can assure you that after a bit of practice, she will be able to make. Maybe not today, but eventually after some practice. My user's now going to experiment with the enemy AI and see what it does. So she's currently waiting for she doesn't know about the hitbox yet, but then she's now died. She's going to try and play a game again, and she's going to realize that in fact if she jumps right in front of it, that's when the enemy AI is going to start chasing her. Another thing she's going to realize is that now when she can get behind cover when the enemy AI starts chasing. So if she triggers it by accident and she runs behind the wall and is a certain distance away, then the enemy AI will start not following her anymore. Unfortunately, she was too close, so she couldn't get away from the enemy AI this time. But yeah, so this is what earlier in my project and my analysis, I described I had 3 types of stakeholders: a extreme player, a new player, and a casual player. So this was my new player. This was someone who doesn't play video games at all. And yeah, so next I'm going to get someone who has played video games before and see how they react to the project. So now my extreme player is going to give this a go. So they're currently discovering the map. They've understood that they're just looking at the locker screen now, and they're going to choose. What are they going to choose? They're going to choose the freaky skin. No, the funny skin. Sorry. They're looking at the controls. Yeah, they're understanding the controls now. Okay. They looked at the controls and they decided that they do not like the music. They're going to turn that off. Okay. Cool. The play button. So now they're going to... So they've just triggered off the enemy. Okay. They're gonna try again. And okay, they've realized that the enemy can only be triggered, only gets triggered in certain scenarios. They're not 100% sure about what those are. But okay, and the enemy's been triggered, and now they're running away. And they've just realized that the enemy stopped chasing them after being a certain distance away. So now they're running away from the enemy, and they're trying to get distance. But wait, they've just realized that it's not really about distance; it's about the obstacles between them as well. So now they've understood they're going to come into this complex jump. So they were able to make these jumps probably because of their extensive history with very precise games, such as Get Over It, which is a very famous game that this stakeholder liked to play. Okay, and now they're discovering the anti-gravity potion. So now they're playing around the anti-gravity potion, trying to understand how to use it, and they made it to the top 8. I don't know why they went back down. And now they're dropping down onto the moving platform. They're moving down with the platform to get to the sticky floor, and they made it to the sticky floor. Now they know they can see the path very clearly, and they're trying to make it up there. And they haven't made it, so they dropped all the way back down, which is what you're meant to do if you don't make the make the thing in the right time. And perfect. Now they have made it, and they're going to be moving back over to the other sticky floor where they can see that their escape door is. So my extreme player has just won the game. This player is extraordinarily well versed in video games. They've played some of the hardest, most technical video games they ever have that have ever existed, and so they found this easy. And then finally, I'm going to get my casual player to play this game to see how they take it. Okay, so my casual player has just jumped straight into it. They've seen my extreme player play, so they already got an idea of what they need to do. So they understand some of the mechanics easily and make it pretty quickly. This casual player made the 2 jumps immediately, which is quite surprising actually, and they understand. They've fallen down and they're trying to make their way back up again. Now that the casual player understands the route and understands what needs to be done, and they're able to play it. Okay, and they've moved over too much, and yeah, they want to play around with the AI enemy now. But yeah, they're making their way back up to the point to be able to play it. And they dropped down and fell. Anyway, that was my casual player playing around with this game. And as you can see, they still had difficulties to play a game. They still had a challenge, but they enjoyed it. So those were my 3 stakeholders playing my game, and you can see how each of them reacted, each of them with their own stakeholder profiles. One being an extreme player, one being a player that's never played before, and one being a casual player. So that's that done, and that's my post-development testing. So this is my final product. This is my final game, and yeah, so this is my final game. Boom, 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 boom. Cool. Thank you very much for joining me in this journey of computer science coursework. And yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll be developing your future essential systems in the future, and you'll know that it all started because of the game Shape Chase. So when you're hooked up to a very sensitive brain surgery system, just know that it could have been me that was coding it, and it all began with this. So thank you very much for joining me on this journey, and this is the final product of my Shape Chase project. Thank you.